welcome back to my channel. Today, me and my friend Sophia,
hello,
we're going to be reacting to I Got Stuck on a Roof by Let Me Explain Studios, so let's get started.
Peeps, my explainers and entertainers, my little oodle-lollies, Rebecca Parham here. Even when I was young, I never understood the type of kid who did stupid, dangerous things for fun or attention. My grandfather, who was a rocket scientist for the Air Force, used to say that a mark of intelligence was understanding cause and effect. If I jump off of this very high rock into very shallow water, there is a high probability that I will break something important and pop.
Wow, just talking about...
That's just very...
That's you, Sophia.
That's not me. I would never jump off a cliff.
Yeah, but
Unless
you're
I
like
get
very a daredevil.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not. I used to be.
Possibly do permanent damage to my frail human body. Maybe the admiration of my peers isn't worth risking my entire future as a just kidding, yeet! I wasn't one of those kids. Not even close. I was the terrified one in the corner who had to muster up courage just to ask for the hall pass.
You were the
so
main
it's a jolly good wonder.
You were the main character in the show.
Yeah, I did the zip line at camp, to be honest.
So did I.
I think it's more like physical stuff that...
When it comes to my
Well,
family,
saying this physical, but I mean like, you know, daredevil stuff.
How I ended up in this precarious predicament that I'm about to describe to you. Let's rewind the clock, shall we? Hey, middle school Becca, you're up. The year was 6th grade. Still doing the preparatory school thing and still very much a loner geek obsessed with Pokemon video games and cartoons. But around this time, I did manage to make one friend for a short while. She was in the grade above me, which I thought made me so cool. At this school, you didn't make friends outside your grade.
Wow, that was very,
Well, I have a friend in P7.
Yeah, I have friends out in my grade as well. I have a friend in P7 as well.
Who's that?
You stuck to your own.
Laxia and...
Oh, yeah, I'm friends with Laxia and Ava.
Yeah, and Caitlin and Anna.
Kind. So the fact that an older girl wanted to be friends not only made me feel special, but it made me feel like I was getting away with something. We'll call her Kay. And looking back, it's pretty clear to me why we got along so well. While I personally thought she was one of the cool kids, she was clearly the loner weirdo geek in her own class. Proof that perspective is everything. Maybe one day I'll be as cool as her. She also liked Pokemon and video games and was really good at Super Smash Bros., the original. She's also the one who taught me the infamous item duplication glitch in Pokemon Red and Blue, so yeah.
I don't play Pokemon,
The geek was strong with this one.
Yeah,
One day, Kay invited me over to her house for a
your Sims and
sleepover.
Roblox.
Now you have to
So
remember, at this
Roblox is
point in my
okay.
life,
I
my
like
family
Sims.
lived
I
out in the
like
country,
Minecraft, Sims,
so most of the
Roblox.
kids at school did too. And Kay's house was on a very big piece of property. Many, many acres and far away from any neighbors. Levels of seclusion that made you wonder what the hell the parents were up to. Anyways, she and I were having a lovely old sleepover, and I wasn't going to be picked up until the afternoon of the next day. So we had lots of time to kill. After a very full night of trading Pokemon and playing all 12 characters in Smash, we were enjoying breakfast when her parents came in. They told us they were going to the farthest stretches of their property to work on a new house they were building. Right, new house. Gotcha. I'm ignoring the shovels and suspicious tarp. One second after Kay's parents closed the door behind them, she turned to me and gave me one of those looks that said, I'm about to drag you into something you're gonna regret. You wanna go out on the roof? Go what, do where now? Kay's house was 2 stories, but the second story was a lot smaller than the first, and via a window on the second floor, one could easily slip out and parkour to their little heart's content all over the first story roof. Kay took us up to the second story, opened the window that would lead to the roof, and said, Don't worry, I've done this lots of times, and nothing bad ever happened. Well, she did appear to be alive. So I guess there was a good chance she didn't ever die from going out on the roof, and I was not about to turn yellow-bellied in front of my cool older friend. So I followed her outside onto the roof, and just as we both made it out, she said, See, it's all fine, just as long as we don't close the window.
Oh no.
I
really hope you went to the bathroom before this. Turns out...
What do you think she's gonna do?
Well, I think... creepy tar and shovels. That would probably mean that they're hiding a body.
The window locked automatically whenever it was closed, and no amount of us trying was getting it to budge. Now,
That's a bit
modern
weird.
innovation would make this a non-problem, because everybody and their grandmother has cell phones that might as well be implanted into our hands.
Oh,
But back
wow.
then, you didn't get a cell phone until you were like
Not
a
always.
teenager, if you were lucky, and whatever phone
You,
you did
like,
get
basically
was
have
just
this-
that, a phone.
You basically have your phone in your hand. You have it all the time.
Not all the time.
Well, I've never really seen you without it. It's like Holly number 2.
At school, and
At school, you bring it to school.
I think you should have your iPad implanted in your hand. You can never get off of your iPad.
Not a mini computer with access to a literal world of distractions and activities. So even if I did have a phone back then, chances are I wouldn't be carrying it on me anyways. So that meant we were stuck
You're
On a
your iPad
roof.
all the time.
with no one else around.
How do you know?
I vote you jump.
you're
Your legs aren't
always
broken, go
on
back in the
iPad
house and
on your
open the window.
Snapchat.
Neither of us were
No,
going to
the-
jump.
the
First off, it would have been
jacket.
stupid. Secondly, her house was on a hillside with lots of jagged rocks. So if you jumped, you weren't just going to fall 12 feet. You were going to hit and then tumble down a
not
steep
high.
rocky hill.
Maybe
So,
like die.
you know,
No.
might get a boo-boo. There were trees around us, but none of them were close enough for us to climb down. And if my
can climb
childhood
down
bully
that.
friend
It's really
Jocko
close.
taught me anything,
Yeah, but
it's
would you
that
climb down
twigs
it?
have a weight-bearing
Actually,
limit.
no.
Our next option? Scream! Kay's parents were working on a house over a mile away. So all we two middle school girls had to do was create the same level of decibels as a rock concert in order to just barely be heard at that distance. Yeah. Surprise, surprise. 10 minutes of screaming didn't do anything. It just made us a little hoarse. So we couldn't jump, we couldn't climb, and we couldn't call for help.
What do you think they should do instead of doing all of that?
I mean, I think I just wait.
Yeah, just wait until maybe. Well, do they even have a phone yet?
No. This is like in 1990 or something.
Oh, well, why can't they just try and climb down? But their parents are there, so it's hard. I don't know what they're gonna do.
What is a girl to do? Well, my beautiful mind came up with a real humdinger. I started grabbing leaves off the adjacent branches and spelling out SOS on the
wow,
roof.
was a
Yes, I really
helicopter
did
gonna
that.
get you?
I don't know who I was trying to flag down. A helicopter? Kite? A passing buzzard? Hey! Hey! We're about to be dead soon, so
wow.
you might as well stick around.
Why would the-
Ah, come on now. It could totally be worse.
Oh no, totally worse. and
Nope,
they don't even have a
no.
jacket.
Nope. I will not be resorting to this Hollywood cliche of a joke. It was actually a nice day, but thank goodness it didn't happen in the middle of Texas summer. We definitely would have looked like SpongeBob and Patrick in
Ooh,
Shell City by the
SpongeBob
end of it.
reference.
We were stuck up there for 2 hours. But thankfully her parents weren't away that long. Must have been quite a sight to come home to. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. K's parents. I see you've made short work of that suspicious tarp. If you get us down, I promise not to testify against you in court. Why does she always bring home the weird ones? One ladder later, and Kay and I were safely back on the ground. Her parents were surprisingly chill about the whole thing. Didn't even threaten to tell my parents. It looked like I was gonna get away with my dumb decisions scot-free. Kay's parents didn't even bother to see me off when my dad came to come pick me up. Everything was coming up Becca. But just as I was walking out to greet my dad... And remember, don't tell him anything!
Oh no.
Why would she say that?
Like, you could just say, "Oh, Dad, I have to tell you. I wear my shirt inside out. Yep, I told you. I always do it."
Don't tell me what, dear daughter of mine.
Yeah. you
The
could've
jig
just
was
said,
up.
like,
I had to tell him.
Dad, I wore my shirt in backwards.
Yeah.
Of course, he was not happy. Got a big old lecture on the way home because, I guess my parents cared about my safety and stuff. Shortly after Kay switched schools, though I think we all know what that meant. Oh, pour one out for the poor murdered soul of Kay. She got to be a ghost story before me. May her roof-climbing hijinks live on in infamy. Why did I always make friends with the weird ones?
Just like her mom said. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, yep.
Okay, so we're gonna watch the most popular video, and that is my school dress code. Advert.
Did you watch this video?
Here's a tip for all of you in middle school and high school right now. You know that anxious feeling that you get all the time that everyone is watching you and secretly judging and scrutinizing every little thing about you?
Yep.
Like if you walk by the cool kids and they start laughing and you automatically assume that they're laughing at you because you just couldn't get your hair to behave that morning? Yeah, that has a name in psychology. It's called the imaginary audience. It's subconsciously believing every mistake you make and every imperfection about your appearance is seen and judged by everyone. Well, I've got some consolation for you. You ain't alone. Most everyone in your school is dealing with those thoughts. And that anxiety from person to person is going to be expressed in a plethora of different ways, including negative ways like bullying. Free your mind, man. The imaginary audience isn't real. The world is not what it seems. Wake up. The Matrix has you. So one of the hard facts about school and about life in general is dress codes. Yeah, it doesn't stop after high school.
What is our school dress code?
It's like uniform.
Yeah, so ours is uniform because we live in the UK.
British high school.
Yeah, and it's usually like it's usually just like uniform.
Unless like we sometimes get a dress down day at like the end of the month.
Yeah, but that's
Even
we're
then.
still not allowed like short skirts.
Or like football strips.
Yeah.
Explainers, people are always telling you what to wear. In jobs, at restaurants, passing by on the street. I wouldn't be wearing shorts if I had your legs, sweetie. Oh yeah? Well, your judgment of others is a manifestation of your crippling disappointment in how your life is turning out. Sweetie. When I was but a middle schooler, I went to a private preparatory school that made us wear uniforms. I don't know why I said that in a British accent. They cared very much what color your socks were, and if your skirt was below the knees. 1 inch too high, and that would be anarchy, I tell you! That's something that I remember the girls at that school complained a lot about, is that their skirts were just too long. They're so long I can't think straight! Free the knee! Look, I'm all for personal expression, but that school didn't let us wear leggings in the winter under our skirts unless it was below freezing. So if you want even less protection from the elements, then go right ahead. I'll be over here in the thermal tent that I wear around my waist. I'm not gonna say that uniforms are an inherently bad thing. Some people like not having to think about what they wear in the morning. But I am not one of those people. I mean, I can't even decide on one outfit to stick my animated self with. Just look at this cartoon wardrobe. Eat your heart out, Minnie Mouse. So you can be sure that I was happy to be rid of that school uniform when I started public high school. I didn't have many non-uniform outfits, so my mom and I went out and bought me a brand new wardrobe for school. And for my freshman year, there wasn't anything too special about this school's dress code, just the usual fare, the stuff you'd expect. No miniskirts or midriffs, no pants so long that you trip over them, no multicolored hair that looks like you took a highlighter to your head. It all felt very reasonable, especially having just left a school that gave you detention if your shoelaces weren't the same color as your shoe. But the next year, geez, I don't even know what happened. Someone at that school must have royally screwed up because suddenly the staff decided that they needed to ban all clothing with pictures and words on it. Got a cute picture of a turtle on your shirt? Banned! Your pants got the name of the designer on it? Banned! Got a sweater with musical instruments on it? Banned! And it's against the dress code, too. This was a huge deal at my school. Every kid was outraged. I don't know if it's the same nowadays, but back in my high school, graphic tees were the majority of everyone's wardrobe.
It says don't subscribe to Holly Cicero. That's why I was banned.
It don't actually say that. I'm cutting that out, girl.
Heck, I had just bought a whole new wardrobe the previous year, and now you're telling me I gotta go out and buy another one entirely? What the hell, school? The only exceptions to the rule were school shirts like from clubs and sports teams, college shirts, or patterns. So basically, if you had one graphic on the front of your shirt, that's a big old no-no. But if the graphic was all over, that's perfectly fine.
What? I don't get
yes,
that.
makes
Like,
sense.
what?
Good call, staff. All this meant was I wore a lot of black theater club shirts, to the point where people were mistaking me for being goth. But there was one shirt I had that was my personal rebellion against the tyranny. On a trip to Disney World, I had found a Grumpy shirt that legitimately looked like a college debate team shirt. Grumpy State Debate Team. We're right, you're wrong, debate over. My, Disney merchandise designers. Aren't you a talented bunch? Thanks for aiding the rebellion. That shirt looks so much like a real college shirt that I wore to school dozens of times, and not once did a teacher or staff member decide to look a little bit closer at it. I'm so bad. That wasn't the only time that I bent the dress code rules. When it came to backpacks, we had to have mesh or clear plastic so the adults could see what we were carrying. Gotta make sure no one's bringing any questionable items into school, like Game Boys. But for some reason, girls were still allowed to carry purses, because I could never fit my Game Boy in here. So what ended up happening is a lot of girls tried to work around the system with messenger bags. If they got caught, they could argue that it was a big purse. Sometimes they got away with it, and sometimes they didn't. I was one of these messenger bag rule benders. I had followed the backpack rule for 2 years, but by junior year, my clear plastic backpack had broken. Those things suck, by the way. And I had found a denim messenger bag that I really liked and wanted to show off at school, so sue me! Now here is where having the reputation of the good kid comes in handy. Because the vice principal herself would stand at the busiest hallway between periods and nab any kid in violation of the dress code. And every day, I would walk past her in that hallway with my messenger bag completely in view, and she would turn a blind eye. Hey, that shirt is prohibited. Go to the office. You, take out that nose ring. You know they're not allowed. Oh, hello, Rebecca. You have a good day, sweetheart. Hey, I see that logo on your pants, mister. It pays to be the good kid. I say as I just finished listing off times I broke the rules. College is better. College is pretty chill. I don't even know what the dress code was at my animation school. We all just wore hoodies because the computer labs were freezing. Well, we did have these little things called full faculty critiques where you presented your progress to a room full of ex-Pixar, DreamWorks, and Disney artists, so yeah, you were gently encouraged to clean up for those. Maybe wear the good sweatpants. These days, I am lucky, because I could wear whatever I want for this job. I could be wearing something outrageous and embarrassing right this second, and you would never know. Score 1 for the animators. Take that, vloggers! You and your daily uploads. Now one last thing from Editor Becca here, sorry if it sounds like I have a cold, it's because I do. If you remember way back in 2018, I said this: I want to be a ghost story! And a lot of you seem to share that sentiment, so the creator Ink Guys and I made it a t-shirt. And hey, we made it glow in the dark for good measure. Link to the store is in the description. This is another one of those limited run items.
And Rebecca Parham, because we just talked. She did all the work.
Yeah, all we did was talk. She did all of that animating, which is amazing. And
and subscribe to Robert IDQ because he's amazing.
Subscribe to her. And subscribe to Holly Cicero.
Next week we might do a Doorman video.
Yeah. Oh, we gotta do one right now.
Okay. Bye, friends.
Bye, friends.